Good evening, Big Chief and Bugs Beanie, and everyone will be watching this video. My name is Torrance Manyama, otherwise known as the Big L Coca, the smiling animal. So this evening, I'm coming to you with the nice story. So I'll start my story, or the mythical story, by giving the context first. So I have chosen the organization to provide me with a dynamic that I'll be using to narrate my story today. So I've chosen the organization Shell, downstream South Africa, which is owned by Royal Dutch Shell, based in The Hague, Netherlands. As you know, Shell in South Africa. So there has been issues of unequal treatment within the Shell organization. There have been complaints of employees not getting equal treatment for the financial support to further their studies. As you know, some organizations do support the employees with finance to pay for their fees, study fees, just like me, for example. So there have been complaints within the Shell organization of some colleagues being declined the financial support by their managers. So predominantly, most of them have been declined the financial support with differing reasons, inconsistencies in terms of giving the reasons for the decline. So that has caused a lot of anxiety, a lot of mistrust within the employees, such an extent that the productivity levels started dropping recently, and employees no longer gave their 100%. There also has been the issues with promotions also, where they felt like there's actually untreatment. There's inequality in terms of people being elected to higher positions, more especially in the finance department of the organization. So what happened is, with this situation, there have been a number of CAs, chartered accountants, who have left the organizations because they believe that they have been overlooked for promotions, more especially now that the Shell organization went through the restructuring. Recently, the non-CAs were given the higher finance roles, so that led to the exodus of the CAs leaving the Shell organization because they felt that they were not given the equal opportunity, to get those promotions. So just to narrate that story using the metaphorical setting or the story, I'll start by giving where this story will be taking place or has taken place. So somewhere in Limpopo, in the north of the country, there's a mountain called Ndengeza. So in this mountain, there lived the pride of lions, big hairy lions, scary also. So amongst the residents of the Mountain of Ndengeza were the elephants, the hyenas, the zebras, the rabbits, and also the bushbucks. So those were the other residents of the mountain. So the reigning king recently passed away, and there was a need for the new king to be elected. So the way it works in the mountain, it is the tradition or the culture of the mountain that the lions are the rulers in that Mountain of Ndengeza. So generally, the Lions family should nominate the potential candidates for the kingship of the mountain. Then once the candidates have been nominated with the maximum of 4, then the other animals will vote for their favorite lion to be the king. So in this case, that process took place to nominate the 4 candidates, and the voting process did start where the King Matimba was nominated or selected to be the king of the Mountain of Ndengeza. King Matimba was so happy that after his election, he rode the whole night until sunrise. So the reason why he rode the whole night was to send the message to the nearby brides, the nearby mountains, to say that there's a new king in the Mountain of Ndengeza. He was very happy. He started his new role with the power as his name resonated, and he was very full of energy and wanting to lead the mountain, or the animals on the mountain, to prosperity. So before he could continue with his reign, there was a need for him to select the advisors, his advisors basically. So generally in the mountain there should be 7 advisors selected equally from all the animals that were residing on the mountain. So for Matimba, with his little experience, because as he was young, he always regarded or respected the elephants. So that bias led him to have 6 members in his advisory committee out of 7, which the 7th one was a bushbuck. So that selection caused a lot of problems among other animals regarding the equality and the selecting of the advisory committee. So the other animals were so unhappy that they started to lose focus in terms of the production. The production levels dropped. The food that was being produced dropped, and to such an extent that there was a need to ration the food in the mountain. Then King Matimba realized that in order to make sure that the food is distributed as he would like, he set up with his leadership committee, the advisory committee. They decided that there needs to be rationing of the food. However, because the majority in the advisory committee were the elephants, there was bias that the leaders will eat first. The leaders who were in the leadership team took most of the food to give to their families, to give to their friends. This led to more anger within the other animals in the mountain, that led further to the drop in the food level, to such an extent that other animals started dying of hunger, and there was more anger as the death was happening. So this continued until all animals were dead, unfortunately. On the Mountain of Ndengeza, all animals just disappeared. So Big Chief Bugsbini, I chose this story to narrate the situation in a nutshell, that if leadership ignores the cries of the people on the ground, ignores the views of the people on the ground, in future there might be no organization to lead. More in line with what happened on the Mountain of Ndengeza, the organization can be bankrupt, it can go into liquidation, where no one will be employed. The organization will just go belly up. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you very much.